It happened in the dead of night. The ground didn't just shake, it convulsed, roared, and split open like a monster waking from its slumber. It wasn't just another earthquake, it was the deadliest one ever recorded. At exactly 10 p.m. on January 23, 1556, an unimaginable catastrophe struck China's Shaanxi province. No warning, no escape. In the span of mere seconds, entire villages disappeared. Homes crumbled like paper houses, swallowed by the earth or buried beneath towering landslides. People screamed, but the screams were lost in the deafening rumble of destruction. When the dust settled, over 830,000 lives had been erased. The staggering death toll makes this the most lethal earthquake in recorded history. But what made it so devastating wasn't just the magnitude. It was something far more terrifying. This wasn't just an earthquake, it was a chain reaction of disasters that turned the land into a death trap. And it all started with a geological nightmare waiting to happen. A disaster like no other. Unlike many modern earthquakes, which affect sprawling cities with steel and concrete structures, this one struck a population that lived in a deadly kind of home. The people of Shaanxi and surrounding provinces lived in yaodongs, homes carved directly into cliffs and hillsides. They had sheltered families for generations. But when the earthquake hit, those very homes became mass graves. The cliffs collapsed, the hills caved in. Entire families were buried alive, never to be seen again. The earthquake's estimated magnitude? Around 8.0. But this was different from today's urban quakes, where rescue teams dig survivors from rubble. Here, the buried were beyond saving. Entire landscapes changed overnight, and even the mightiest of rivers rerouted their courses. The damage spread across an area spanning nearly 520 miles, 840 kilometers. In some regions, 60% of the population was wiped out in an instant. Survivors faced an unthinkable reality. Everything they had known was gone. But the nightmare wasn't over yet. The aftershocks of hell for months, the ground remained restless. Aftershocks continued to rattle the land, striking terror into those who somehow survived. But the physical destruction was just the beginning. Famine followed as farmland lay ruined. Food supplies ran out. The injured died slow, agonizing deaths with no medical aid in sight. Disease swept through the region, killing even more than the tremors themselves. Those who survived the quake found themselves trapped in an aftermath that was just as deadly. Entire generations were lost. Some villages ceased to exist. Not a single soul was left to tell their story. It's easy to think of an earthquake as a momentary event, seconds of shaking, then it's over. But for the people of Shaanxi, it was an apocalypse that stretched far beyond that single night. A second earthquake? Not quite. Halfway through this tragedy, another horrifying realization set in. The earthquake had done more than destroy. It had rewritten the landscape, but in doing so, it created the conditions for a second, unexpected catastrophe. Landslides triggered by the quake-dammed rivers, creating temporary lakes. When these natural dams collapsed, the sudden release of water unleashed deadly floods, drowning entire communities. Survivors who thought they had escaped the worst suddenly found themselves swept away in raging torrents. Waterborne diseases spread like wildfire, carried by contaminated rivers. The earthquake had set off a domino effect, ensuring that even those who had miraculously survived the initial quake had little chance of survival in the weeks that followed. How do we know this really happened? One might wonder, How do we know all of this in such detail? This earthquake took place in 1556, long before seismometers or scientific earthquake records, but China's meticulous historians documented everything. One of the most important records came from the Ming dynasty's Imperial Gazetteer, a historical text detailing the immense loss of life, destruction, and suffering. The records described the earth splitting open, water bursting from cracks, and mountains literally vanishing. One chilling account told of people running as fast as they could, only for the ground beneath them to suddenly disappear. They weren't outrunning a simple tremor. They were trying to escape a force of nature, unlike anything before or since. 4 mind-blowing facts about this earthquake. Here are 4 astonishing facts about this catastrophic event that will leave you speechless. Number 1. It wasn't the strongest earthquake ever, just the deadliest. Many earthquakes have been stronger, including the 1960 Valdivia earthquake in Chile, magnitude 9.5. But no earthquake has ever matched the Shaanxi quake in terms of sheer loss of life. Number 2. Some aftershocks lasted for years. Long after the initial devastation, tremors continued. Some reports suggest noticeable aftershocks occurred for as long as 6 months after the main quake. For those who had already lost everything, each aftershock must have felt like a cruel reminder that the nightmare wasn't over. Number 3. This earthquake helped shape modern China's disaster preparedness. The scale of destruction forced rulers to rethink how communities were built. New building regulations were developed, and construction moved away from unstable cliffsides to safer ground. Number 4. If this happened today, the death toll could be even higher. Shaanxi's population has skyrocketed since 1556. If an earthquake of the same magnitude hit the same region today, it could kill millions. And with climate change influencing natural disasters, scientists warn that the future may bring even deadlier quakes. More than 460 years have passed since that fateful night, but the lessons from the Shaanxi earthquake remain. It was a disaster of unfathomable proportions, a reminder that nature doesn't follow human timelines or rules. It strikes when it wants, how it wants, and it leaves behind scars that last centuries. But it also showed something else: human resilience. Even after losing everything, the people of Shaanxi rebuilt. They mourned, they adapted, and they learned. And those lessons continue to shape earthquake preparedness worldwide. So now, let me ask you, how prepared we are for the next big one? History has already shown us that when the earth moves, it doesn't ask for permission. If you haven't already, please like this video and subscribe to our channel, Best Time Quest, today.